There it goes. And we are going to be live. All right. Hey, everybody. It is Education by Ed. Today is June 17th, 2018. It is a Sunday, and it is Father's Day. So look at it this way, guys. When you're trying to raise your children, do you want to give them the lies like Santa and the Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy and Disney princesses? Or do you want to let them know the truth that life sucks and you got to be tough and actually deal with fact and truths? Well, if you want to deal with truths, listen to Ed. If you want to deal with fantasy, go listen to Oprah. Ed, why don't you take it away?
Okay, thank you. Happy Father's Day to all. We are not lawyers, attorneys, or anybody of nobility of ability. We are just average men and women who do research and bring this stuff to the forefront. The one thing that we deal with a lot of statute codes and administrative rules, so that way we get to know what their rules, regulations are, what they have to go by. And I'm talking about they, elected and public servants. And the one question was brought up to the attention a couple times, dealing with like president, you know. Does the president of every corporation have to be American? If that's the case, that sure throws a turmoil for foreign businesses that's doing business in our country. See, there's a lot of things that when you step out of these productions, the way I like to say, you get to see what's going on in the movie. And it is very frustrating that we don't have as many people standing up shoulder to shoulder yet, but it is slowly coming together. People are waking up more and more. They are getting it. And the main point is trying to get people to comprehend and how to sign the affidavits on criminal charges of treason.
Autograph, not sign.
Oh, thank you for the correction. That's what I wanted to make sure. That's what we want to make sure that you folks understand. Oh, comprehend that you have to autograph things, not a signature. Because an autograph has value. I mean, signatures really don't have value. You know, it depends if you're a real famous movie star or something like that on a contract, or some things like that do happen. But the average man or woman, you know, an autograph has a value. And even though that it has been pointed out to me that even in the Black Law Dictionary it says basically autograph and signature could be the same thing. But I'd much rather talk about autographs than signatures. Signatures are dead man's hands. That everybody known that for history. And when you autograph a book, or if you put your court case together and put it in a binding, make it a book, and now you have some value on that. When you autograph that, that has value. And I've done this on a couple of my cases already, put them in books. And these are things that, you know, we get told to do, or we get suggested to do, or we read this, or we read that we're going across information, and how to solve the issues that we're trying to deal with at the time that we're working on these issues. So it is putting the pieces together of this puzzle that we're all working together, so that way we can see the light of how it all is coming together, and we're putting the pieces together quite well. And we're seeing, you know, for example, you know, when I put out the deal for the flag in Oregon and the response we got back from at least the National Guard of Oregon, you know, I mean, even that says a lot. And at least when these men and women are responding to us in our letters and affidavits and stuff, we have to respect these men and women because they are doing their job responding. And that's the next point, is start trying to get things certified and notified. Because then that way, that's binding. You know, and that's the other point. I am still doing the research on electronics because I comprehend the electronic signatures and electronics when administrative rules and contracts are passed through. They're supposed to be binding. I've got a couple electronic laws now, but I knew there was a couple of different other ones that were a little bit more binding I'm trying to find. So if somebody has those and they can pass that on sooner than I find the other ones, that'd be nice. So we can put that together. So that way we can put that up on the websites and the Facebook sites. So that way when other people are looking to do electronic signatures or the electronic deals, because if you can't get out, like I'm stuck basically where I'm at, no resources and transportation and, the resources to even do mailing. I have to do electronics right now. Without that, I'd be just totally lost. So, these are one things that, I'm looking at, I'm dealing with. Other people have dealt with this, are dealing with this today at the same time. And it is putting these things together and making sure that we comprehend what's binding and what's not. And so that's the one thing that, I have conflicts of some things the way some things are put together, because I like to try to stay away from, especially the military side of the British government. And it's interesting when you get further into this stuff and you start seeing what is truth, but then again we have these other contracts and treaties that says that this is the law, and the other side is administrative rules. And so by getting ourselves so that way we're presenting our wording correctly in these matters of the filings, and especially when we're talking to elected and public servants. And that's the one thing that the whole point is not to get where we're getting irate with them. The whole thing is going, hey, I have a question. Or if you have a problem with a question, put a FOIA request in. Freedom of Information Act. We'll have some templates up on that coming up this week too, because I had a couple ideas that came up in the last 24 or 30 hours. So we'll get some of these templates up on for FOIA requests. One of the other FOIA requests that I've been pushing and trying to get people to do is Walter Bruin has done that with the CAFA reports, and people don't really comprehend those CAFA reports that Walter Bruin has been out there for years bringing out to your attention, and then you wonder why you're broke. He's showing you where House Resolution 192, the money and resources are. That's the thing. The resources are there. We know it's there. How do we get them? How do we utilize them? It's not that we're supposed to have, Mercedes-Benz and all this fancy stuff. Those resources were set aside for us so that way we were surviving. We're not supposed to, we're not, basic paupers or peasants, but then again, we're not being to be treated above one another, because man and woman is equal. There is no one or the other that's above one another. That's what always gets to me when people want to argue about what a woman's right is and all this. Well, if God gave her the will, isn't it her will? So, these are things that when we look at how our life has developed and what we're going through today. I'm going through a lot of rough roads. Most people know that. It's like Saturday, yesterday I mentioned, Friday I was on the phone almost all day with Social Security and found out, what, why, and how a few things have happened. And then people send me this stuff on Social Security, and it's like I ask people, would people actually read the foundation of Social Security? Not these blips you're getting from people about Social Security. It's like they got another deal where they're putting out this deal that Social Security is broke now again. Well, we know that $2.9 billion was stolen by Congress, but also too has $68 billion in reserves, and I've already put those figures up. And so that's the one thing that people don't go to the resources of Social Security, put a Freedom of Information Act, and get it. Some people have done that here in the last few weeks, and we've been posting them up on Facebook. so people can see what the actual numbers are compared to what people are out there trying to claim. And Social Security was never set up as a benefit. Social Security originally was set up, if you got injured, it was to give you part of the bounty so that way you were able to survive. You know, if you lost a limb, you had to be able, they gave you a part of the bounty, so you had to make sure you had the resources generating so that way if you needed, a caregiver or something like that, or an aide, somebody helping you out, you had the resources to help out with those things. That's what it was all originally about. And then, we watched all this stuff with the Clintons when they started really tampering with Social Security in the 90s, when they gave Social Security over to the Queen of England, the payee structure of the employer. But they could only put the payee structure of the employer for foreign countries. They couldn't do it for we the people. But that's the one thing that these people are out there shifting things around, trying to bail themselves out. And they're not only screwing themselves, but they're screwing us because a lot of us are not speaking up when we see this stuff happening. We need to put these affidavits in. We need to make sure that, that men and women are filing the criminal charges. It's like I was talking yesterday dealing with Donald Trump coming out with the immigrants, dealing with the kids and stuff. And I've been on another several calls on that. People were getting upset with me, and it's like, hey, I didn't bring them here. Their mommy and daddy brought them here. So why is that our problem? And if I tell people that, oh, well, you should have an open door for these people, well, then open your door for them. You feed them. You clothe them. You tolerate how bad they're going to destroy your house and their attitude. See, a lot of people have a lot of fantasy emotions and thoughts. I think people are always as good a human being or a good man or woman as they are, but not everybody is that way. So we're fighting all these little things and some of the big things all on the turf here. And how do we solve a lot of these problems that we have? Stepping back, looking at them, figuring out how to go in a different direction. I mean, I've got a lot of reading I'm doing right now dealing with my circumstance. Excuse me, I'll tell you that right now. But I'm blessed that the one thing is I do comprehend the administrative rules. It's like I had somebody tell me, forget administrative rules. Well, you have to know the administrative rules because if they violate something, you have to know what they violated. So, I've had people that have recently told me, oh, forget all that and, just write it this way. And I'm like, well, if I write it that way, I get that point, but I have to put an amendment into it behind that for the administrative rules. And it's like, I've read some of these court documents and some of the stuff, the way the court has done, even with injured, the corpus delicti. And that's the one thing I do mention. If you don't, when you're writing an affidavit or a case and there's injured man and woman, even child involved, you definitely have to put corpus delicti. Title 18, 31771. And it even says it in the Superior Court administrative rules that you need to put that in for any injury. So that way you become not an imaginary man or woman or person, basically is what it comes down to, person. Yeah, and I've had some conversations with a couple people about the word person. Well, I'm still waiting to see more of the evidence of that when they're trying to say person was a different standing than what I comprehended dealing with the administrative rules and the structure that I've read, and especially with the lawyers and attorneys that I've been involved in around different buildings for years. I even had somebody in the legal department trying to tell me, well, Ed, a person is this, and I'm going, well, it says a person in Black Law Dictionary and Vauvier is an inanimate object. So it's like, so, I mean, to me, it's like these people are saying these things because they're public employees and they want to keep you in the system. I just much rather say I'm a living man. I'm a, lawful bloodline American. My family's been on this soil for hundreds of years. So, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm an African American or Chinese American or a white American. I mean, isn't that interesting? There's no such thing as a white American, but everybody else has got all these titles of nobility when it comes down to it. But then some people say, well, saying the word white is a title of nobility. So it is one of those things of, what, why, and how. How do we look at things? How are we making sure that the judgments that we are even doing to ourselves and those around us, too, that how we're judging that? So it is an interesting topic or situation that we're all living in this thing. So it's like, I got a couple templates I'm working on. I should have them out. I'm going to have them out at least by tomorrow night, because I got to have them emailed to at least to the county. I haven't heard nothing from nobody or anything, so I got to check an email, because I emailed a couple of the senators on this, because I want them their opinion, and I'm asking them their opinion on the finances for the state, how it's supposed to be paid. So that's my next deal, because I'm not going to sit there and basically the way I look at it, setting myself just to sit in a hole to be blindsided in a sense. I'd much rather be, out there, going after it instead of being, praying, oh, something's going to change. No, there's got to be a bull going out there, because otherwise, we all been around this before. We've all seen this happen to other people. So I think it's, standing up instead of turning away, or, because I haven't heard nothing on my end, so it's hard to say. And I've created a ruckus, I've been told, by a few public employees, too, around the county. So, it's just one of those things. But this is the one thing about life that we got. And then the other point I did get out to is on the clerk of the courts, their job description. So if they don't sit there and file your paperwork in that, and that's a 3-page deal that I've got that I put out. I do believe we have it, maybe not yet, but we'll have it up soon on new.org and trackers. So that way you can print it out or copy and paste it and to your own instrument. So that way you actually have the clerk's administrative rules. If they don't file your paperwork, here's the penalties. They have to file your paperwork, because if you make your paperwork wrong, then they can go after you for forgery or fraud. And that's exactly what it says in this instrument, too, that I put together, dealing with Title 18, Title 22, and something else dealing with the laws, or their administrative rules, or whatever you want to call them, laws. Because to me, the Constitution is a law, statute codes. So they're statute and codes. So it's we have to use these things. I'm been doing that. Some people are very successful not using them to a degree. We want to be able to start seeing some people's actual copies of their paperwork that is filed in one. Like I said, I got a couple of cases that we've got on new.org and trackers, but I want to get more cases up. That way people can see how it is to win, to see the process of what somebody else went through. If somebody could read it and go through it, maybe they can learn from you. So, this is the whole thing, is that we're supposed to be learning from each other, so that way we can make sure the kids are educated, so that way they can eat, drink, and, dance out in the woods or the street, per se. Most of us grew up, if you're over 50, we grew up, we were free-range parents. We rode, little bikes and choppers and skateboards, and some of us did cardboard sliding down the hill until the hill got on fire. A couple times that happened. Of course, we were always the good kids. We always kept at least 7 to 15 5-gallon buckets around, just in case. We had the fire chief come down and made sure that we had that when we were kids. And that's one thing. I mean, that was a public servant that knew what the kids were doing and said, hey, here's the way you're going to handle it. Because I'm not going to send a squad out here, and so you guys are going to handle it. And basically, he walked us through it, how to put out a grass fire. He lit one, showed us with the buckets when we got the grass fire. Instead of public servants now, you don't do this and you don't do that, and you're not supposed to have freedom. You know, we're not even educating the kids anymore on freedom. I mean, 3 years ago, I got kidnapped and arrested in my backyard for having a night barbecue or fire. Oh, well, Ed, you weren't cooking, is what they were trying to say to me. Oh, I didn't have a grill and a pot on. Well, if you had a grill and a pot on, or just a pot on with boiling water, we couldn't have done anything. That's what and this is what they do. They play these games back and forth on you. And then you start reading their administrative rules of what they can and cannot do. The guy didn't have no right doing that. He was just flexing his muscle. So it's interesting. Once you start start realizing how you're reading this stuff, you're putting it together with the privileges they have, because we know that cops by federal law don't work for the people, they work for the tax collection of the city and county. That's all they are technically, is tax collectors. Or, as some would say, military tax collectors. And that's their job. They're not there to protect you or save you. But then again, they have an oath of Title 5, what is that, 332, 331 through 333, that states that they have an obligation of their paycheck because they're getting a paid servant employee under the Bankruptcy Act. So they're getting a paid check under the Bankruptcy Act for their employment now, even though we know it's a de facto dollar and all that. But they have obligations for that. That is the one point that we want to make sure that we start getting this knowledge out to people of their education and what they have to do for their employment. So I plan on getting that going in the next couple weeks too, getting more and more of this brought forward, so this way we're walking through this. Because, I mean, it's like we got to start doing declaratory judgments, seeing the ones that have worked. We got to get ones that have worked on record, and this way we can start batting them around and start working with people. And when you start winning cases and you got somebody to help you, come on, guys, throw a coin back to the guy that worked with you. This is the one thing about honor. Life is supposed to be honor. I watch too many of these groups going around and charging money and, getting people in trouble, claiming they're a judge or attorney or continental marshal or whatever. And, we've watched a lot of these people fall. They get off on these tangents. They're not paying attention to what the deal is. And some of them feel like when they start getting a popularity vote, basically, is the way I look at it, they start losing it. And then they start thinking they're bigger, better, and they're above what some people would say God. Me, I call it the Great Spirit or the Creator. But that's the one thing. We're not above anything. We're not above the next man or woman. We are supposed to be equal. Some are taller than others. We know that. But technically, we're supposed to be equal in our rights on the 48 states. I've had arguments with people dealing with the immigration issue. And I keep posting, here's the law that says that immigrants have no rights, they have privileges, and they don't have a right to come here unless they do it legally. And through the process, that means that even in their neighborhood, they have to have their own neighbors confirm that they like them, confirm that they're allowed to be in their neighborhood. Not bouncing around like they bounce them around today, so that way when they're stealing or doing crimes, they bounce around so nobody knows what happened the next one. It is our immigration system, you know. I gotta say, you know, it doesn't matter what people are thinking, but, you know, I'm not into the democracy system, but Trump did a hell of a deal when he started putting that thing together, and when he brought out dealing with the immigration as well as the kids. People got to pay attention to what's going on or what Trump's done. I mean, Trump even testified 17 years ago dealing with elected and public employees, the mob. And I put that video up. Like I said, yeah, Trump has an interesting following that, you know, everybody's attacking Trump, but nobody's going out there and watching his past, what he's accomplished, what he's done, how he got to where he is right now. So, I mean, and that's the thing. The guy is the president of a corporation. He knows it. He's telling the people, wake up. You know, and like you said, the Democrats are telling you, the Democrats are telling you don't have a right. And he's right. That's democracy telling you. Well, we know we got a lot of what they call rhinos, or what I call traitors. I just call them, if they're Democrat or Republican, they're traitors. I don't think we should have a two-party system at all anyways. But we know that that two-party system after the Civil War was put in to keep us fighting and arguing and keep the structure of the Magna Carta and the Treaty of 1213 still in existence for argument on a foreign soil. Because that Treaty of 1213 and the Magna Carta is interesting, and people go, that still has effect, supposed to have effect everywhere in the world. Well, you know, it's interesting because the Magna Carta and the Treaty of 1213 is from England. Why are we still allowing religious control over us? And that's what it is, religious control. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, people would sit there and go, the Bible. You know, well, that's a man or woman's right, their right to choose their religion, as I preach all the time. But also, too, it's my right to believe that the Constitution is my religion, and I don't believe in somebody else's religion that believes that their religion is over the Constitution or its treaties. And we get people like that, and I've talked to people like that, and I've had some arguments with people on the internet on that. And it's like, no, this is America. You know, technically the preamble of the Constitution and a lot of the structure of the Constitution and what happened after even the War of 1812, we weren't supposed to have anything to do with Britain or even do trade. So, I mean, and then right now we got American Idol and Britain's Got Talent, mind controlling our country, softening up everybody so that way when they try to slide in and put in the rest of this little program they're trying to do with democracy, the Clintons and everybody, because they lied. They couldn't do it the other way. They got caught. Now they're trying to shove it down our throats through the TV way. And people are softening up to these corporations. And that's the sad part. I mean, it's everybody, you know, it's interesting because I've talked to a lot of people that Turner Productions and Turner TV and radio was American. No, they're from Britain. 1967 is when Turner started from England on America. So that's the one thing is stepping back, looking at how our past is, who brought in what corporation, who's doing the advertising that is screwing us up today, too. And this is where we got to start speaking out on these people. The other point that I'm trying to get through a couple of people that we'll see what happens dealing with the clean water movement, trying to get these people to write the affidavit against Nestle's. You know, he has no right. They have no right claiming the Dalles waters. They write the affidavit and claim it because they live in the Dalles, and that's part of their structure, their heritage. And a couple of them, their family goes back all the way to 1800s in that valley. And they go after them for water rights. Corporation, because it does not have water rights over man. That even says it in the treaties. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that our forefathers put in the treaties and the foundation of the contracts that we have, like, the United States contract that we have with the Constitution. That's, everybody says, oh, that's not a perfect Constitution, or that's not a perfect contract. Hey, it was the best one they did at the time, and what are we arguing about? How come we're not standing by the men and women who took part and make sure that had our freedom at our doorstep, our freedom at our fingertips? These men and women did a lot of things in the last couple hundred years, keeping this country, keeping the freedom going. And that's sort of what I'm looking at right now. And what am I going to do on the deal? I mean, they deliberately went after me to make sure that I didn't have financials. I've been fighting with them on my disability, my court cases. I mean, I had two $50 million court cases. I had a $35 million court case that was dismissed. And it's interesting because the Bundy's attorney, Ann, was the one who threw my case out of federal court when I actually had the audio tape of the mayor and city council threatening me. So it's interesting. It really is interesting how these people get away with it. But then you start realizing the court system, and see, that was the one thing that putting the court system together now is going after them, because you know how to use their court system the way they wrote it to enter their court system so they can't run and hide from it. And that's what we've got today. That's why we want to get these letters out, questioning them on, I got more going on the rights of travel. I got the deal going with Gunberg right now. I got another letter going to go to him. I'm going to be asking him questions on the county. I'm going to be putting in new letters dealing with the county commissioners. I want to see their oaths of office, so I'm going to be emailing those letters this week. And it's interesting because I know the county is sort of freaking out on that one. Because when I email these ones, and it's sad because I much rather do everything certified mail. I mean, that's the one thing. I much rather have certified mail, registered receipt, and then go back, because once you get the paperwork, when you get your registered certified mail back, I got Kawashu, he's been going back to the post office, and when he gets his green cards or whatever, he's actually having the post office certify them now. So the post office has been certifying his green card and his tracking cards. And doing some research on that, that's another certification, and that's a little higher than, the state. So it is doing the research, putting these things together, stepping out, listening to everybody else. That's one thing that we're working with each other, so that way we're learning from each other how we're going to do, the best to our ability, what we're doing to protect our bloodlines and our property. And that's the one thing that sort of disturbs me, how, we're still fighting for our rights and our property today, basically more than we ever had in some regards, because, even with World War II going on in the 60s, 70s, 50s, people didn't get pulled over. You weren't harassed. Daddy had too many drinks, ran the truck down the hillside, ran it in the tree, and, nobody cared. And then everybody's got a panic. Well, nobody was injured. The truck was injured, but nobody else was. And technically, what is it anybody else's business if nobody was injured? Now, I'm not making excuses for people. Shit happens in life. We all been there. but the bottom line is we got too many people got their nose in people's business instead of having their nose protecting people, working with the people so that way they save their families. So that way when they realize that they have a problem, they can pull people together. I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, I see some people, we're getting people pulling together more and more. We're getting more communications. Like I said, I want to get some of these other templates up and going. And, you know, then the other point is for the website and stuff, I got to figure out a solution. Just could come up with the resources for that to keep that going too. Because, you know, I mean, after what they've drained me out, I mean, like I said, they went after me and they drained all my, everything out of me. They went after me deliberately, trying to force me on the street. This ain't a joke. You know, this is part of their MO. We know it. I know it. But I'm still here. I was fortunate to, you know, have publicized and did what I did. So, you know, it's only time's going to tell. I mean, I did pay attention to a lot of other people around me when they were doing things for the last 25, 30 years. So, and that's the one thing. I got more information I'll be getting out. I'll have I'm going to have this other letter going out this week to them, wanting them to prove some things. And so that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm not going to go after them in any other way. I want them to prove the structure. And if not, then if we have to go, I got to start filing or prepare myself, possibly filing in a higher court, you know, and that court would have to be probably Washington, D.C. or Philadelphia is the only lawful court that I know of on the soil. Well, the original Supreme Court is the only lawful court that, with my research, that's the only one that could actually do injured party cases, injured men or women cases, you know, by the Constitution, not by civil law. And that's the other point. Isn't it interesting? You know, after the Civil War, we got civil law because civil rights came in. And then people don't comprehend what happened with civil rights. So we ended up with rights that they were saying we already had. Then they altered it through administrative rules. And then it wasn't until about after 1912 when they started copyrighting administrative rules, House and Senate bills, and all this stuff. So when it goes into court, it's like I'm dealing with copyrighted administrative rules. I know that. You know, I'm dealing with copyrighted administrative rules. I want them to prove it. I mean, you know, I didn't agree to the contracts. I pulled myself out of their contracts. I mean, that's the one thing that, you know, I have nothing to my comprehension, nothing to do with the state of Oregon, of their corporation. So, but anyhow, time is going to tell. We'll see what happens. So that's where I'm at with that. On my side of the coin. And then we'll hear from a couple other people too, what's going on. And that's the one thing that we want to bring forward too, is we want evidence on people's cases. We want to start seeing how it's won, how it's been producing. Because we all been sitting here doing conversation and talking for, some of us have been doing it for several years, and now it's time that we got to start moving and producing this stuff. And then when people start seeing it moving, it's going to start shaking a few things up. I mean, I find it interesting where a lot of people figure that, I'm going to go run for office and I'm going to change it. You know, I thought that too myself, more than once too. You know, so, and I never backed off. I never let go. That's why I'm still in the circle. I'm running, chasing, almost, not quite chasing my tail anymore. So when people say they're going to go do change, you got to have more than one to change it. And when you don't have a lot more than one that is going after it, I mean, a perfect example is like when they passed the administrative rule to take away Oregonians' arms. But technically, that's a corporation bill, and that means all the public employees have to turn over their arms, not we the people. So, and to get that out so we can get that where people comprehend that, that's going to be interesting when we are able to actually set it up so we can force all the public employees to turn over their arms to us. Because that's technically the administrative bill that they passed. Because it's not technically we're supposed to be affecting we the people. That's supposed to be affecting the corporation members, elected and public servants, not we the people. So the solutions are there. We know the solutions are there. And so it's getting to the solutions. So that's why we want to start getting these case filings where they're shorter than probably the way I write books, definitely. But, I've got a lot of it already written up, so it's, a lot of it's there. So anybody does the research, they can always go back. So now we can shorten things up. So we can try to get it in a 1-page or 2-page, just hit it hard. So if we hit it hard, then we can start making some of these elaborate changes that are forthcoming. And they'll be forthcoming. Because I am going back after the House of Representatives this week, too, on the rights of travel. Because it's like, they were like, well, how are we impeding your rights to travel? Well, if I jump in my covered wagon. But I had a reality check, I guess, because I put my own plates on it. I haven't had their plates on it for years. And I had my own custom plates I made, but I put plates on it. Then I'm reading through a couple of the federal vehicle registration structure. And it says for you to travel, you're not supposed to have plates, period. So in other words, you're not supposed to be showing that you are a corporate member. So, and I got to go back, and once I get back to those pages, I'll be getting them printed up so people can actually see them. Because we got some of that other stuff on the traveling issue, too, with no insurance and all that we got up on the page. So it is putting these things together. We are slowly getting this stuff together. And with all of us still passing the information back and forth, this way we can start putting it together so we can start making things move. We're making things move. I got things started moving in Oregon because, like I said, I'm getting ready to email the rest of the stuff dealing with the stuff with property tax. State of Oregon even states that, you can't pay property taxes in their own administrative rules. So, I'm getting ready to put a couple more things together. I got some requests I got to do first, FOIA requests first, and I'll get those out here in the next couple of days. And, excuse me, and basically I'll get them posted up so people can see the way I got these things put together. So, it is one of those things that when we're able to start putting these things together and you start putting the pieces together, and it helps when another man or woman, throws you that other piece where you see it and all of a sudden light goes off in your head. We all been there, and that's the point that we want to keep going and doing that with each one of us, so that way we are growing our mind of the knowledge, and so that way when we are passing this information on to one another, it makes sense. That's the whole point, is making sense of it. We know how they write it up in goofy terms, but making sense of it. So, but anyhow, I want to get in, and we'll open up the floor here in a minute. But I want people to look at what we're doing here, how things are gathering. We're going to start getting into further on court cases and decisions and what, why, and how. I want to start getting into that so that way people can start seeing how the development of these courts, these administrative Tribunals are run, and we got to run that through them. There is a wonderful group that I do like that we do have on new.org and trackers, and that is Lighthouse Law. And we got a couple of their videos up that are really good that walks you through administration structure. And of course, I always bring up Interstate 60. That's a good movie to watch. And this is the one thing that we're looking at the future here, that once we start educating each other, the children ain't going to have that much problems when they start realizing that they've been lied to in such a fashion by, their parents, their system around them. And when, some kids won't give a damn, some kids will start realizing what they've done to them. So, and that's the one thing, too, dealing with the children. We do have that out. I'm going to be working on another instrument in 2 weeks, too, dealing with the newborn structure, so that way when people have the newborn child, that way they could we're going to work on doing a template up, so that way it can be filed with the Secretary of State and the State Attorney General, so we could have templates up there. So it's just right there printed. You autograph them, notarize them, certify them, and have them served. So we got some projects that we're working on trying to get figured out too. So I got a lot on my plate too. So anyhow, we're gonna open up the floor and let's see what next speaker would like to speak.
Well, before we open up the floor, Ed, we've got a producer announcement, basically.
Oh, that's right. I apologize for that. Before we do that, I have to step back. And yes, there is an announcement that needs to be made.
All right. I've been thinking about this for quite a while, and I finally wrote down something, and this is exactly how it's going to be happening from now on. First off, I want to say we are not lawyers or attorneys. We are not professionals in any way. We educate from information and experience we have accumulated from many years of researching and doing. We take no liability for any listeners' or callers' actions from the information we freely share. Now, to the heart of the matter, this is an education-style show. We deal with verifiable facts and truths. We do not deal in fantasy. So therefore, anyone who is calling in and speaking or asking questions or wants to add to the information, we will require facts. We will need verifiable proof that what the caller is claiming to work actually works. These proofs can be in the form of court cases, certified documents, certified instruments, or even certified affidavits. We do not want barracks lawyers, continental judges, ambulance chasers, or posers of any kind. Without verifiable proof, what the caller is saying we will consider it to be hearsay bullshit.
Hearsay bullshit. Hearsay bullshit. Yeah, we do have a little thing to play on that when we do hear that now.
Yep, and it is hearsay bullshit. And until it is proven, we will treat it as rumor and fantasy. So anybody who's got a court case, they say, oh, I did this in the court. Well, we needed court cases. Otherwise, it is nothing but rumor and fantasy until we see proof. Because we want proof. We don't want fantasy. And to finish this, we are not the Jerry Springer Show. We are not the Oprah Show. We are not any sensationalized program for your pleasure. We are living men and women who have done our research and have tried and proven our methods. We do not ask for any finances to share this information. We are not scam artists that want you to pay us so we will share this info. We do this out of our own time and pockets so that the truth of the corruption can be known to everyone. And so that the difference between lawful and legal is obvious. So be polite Let others have some time if they so wish, and do not overtalk others, or you will be muted and possibly banned from talking. Now, I wrote that and I thought, you know what? Some people might not, some callers may not know what polite is because evidently there's been a serious lack of it lately. In fact, I had to yell last night to make sure that somebody else could talk. So, here is the thesaurus on polite. Affable, amiable, attentive, civil, considerate, cordial, courteous, courtly, which I don't like that one, but heck with it, deferential, diplomatic, friendly, genteel, gentle, good-natured, gracious, neighborly, pleasant, respectful, social, sympathetic, thoughtful, well-behaved, and well-mannered. Now, any of you, since it's Father's Day, any of you who are fathers, and I know there's quite a few in here. Ed, we already know your story, so shut up. Basically, if your kids acted the way that some have been acting here, what would you have done? So that's pretty much all I've got to say on that, but I am not going to deal with any sensationalized crap anymore. This is an educational show. I have a lot of stuff I could do, but I spend time producing this show for Ed. Ed's got a lot of stuff he could do, but we want this information out. And so we're doing these shows regularly, taking our time and even spending our own finances to get this going. So in the end, I'm going to open up the floor, and Ed can take it away, but remember, the producer is watching.
So, anyhow.
All participants are unmuted.
So, go ahead. First one, go ahead.
I sent you 4 documents that I promised the people last night.
Okay.
Put them out there and get with me. I already have a lot of the stuff that you have mentioned already written up, researched out.
Okay, yeah, no, I'll be getting them. We'll be getting them posted, and we'll be getting them up on the website here in a bit.
Okay.
So, and also too, I went through the other one, got that one set up, and I'll be doing that one tomorrow. So, but that's the one thing. Go ahead, finish. What else were you going to say?
I have a lot of the documents that you mentioned already written up in declaratory judgment form.
Right.
All right, so get with me, and we'll go over them and see if you want to use them.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll be getting over with you on that one, too. And so, not enough time in a day.
One of the things that you definitely want to do, all right, the affidavit, somebody was mentioned earlier about an affidavit of declaring his civilian status. What you want to do instead of an affidavit is make the judge declare your civilian status. That puts him in a bind, being in the military court. That brings him ex parte Milligan. And you definitely need to read that. A civilian cannot be tried in a military court as long as there is a civilian court open, and there is a civilian court open in your state. Believe me, there is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Oh, yeah, I got it. Well, we'll be going over that tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, because like I said, I got a couple other templates I'm putting together and setting up for the emails for tomorrow. So, excuse me, I got a lot on my plate too. So we'll be getting this stuff out. Anybody else got anything to add into at this point? Okay, nobody else at this point. But yeah, no, we are getting this stuff out. We're getting more and more templates out, looking at things. I got another gentleman who sent me some stuff. So I'll be going over that, be bouncing this stuff around because I mean, it's interesting because the one thing too is I've got it filed and recognized in the Oregon State House and Senate, my rights that's filed in their committee meeting. It's filed in and recorded in their own committee meeting, and nobody ever disputed that. So I mean, I got a lot of information that's been out there. So I mean, I've been, like I said, I've been filing this stuff for years. It's not like I just started just walking in and doing it. I've been filing it for years because as I've been learning, but also too, like a lot of us, we learned and we found out some of the stuff that we went in the wrong direction, what people were saying, and we caught ourselves. And so that's the one thing is when we start to catch ourselves. I mean, we got some men out there that have, and some women that have some very good educational videos out there. And that's the one thing we need to start giving people credit and getting them back around and start making sure that, people are talking about them instead of some of these new crick shows. I mean, Pete Santilli, what the hell is his talk show about? Pete Santilli, wasn't he an FBI informant for the Bundys? See, that's what sort of gets to me, and I'm not saying he was or not, but I don't know. It was interesting. And then all of a sudden, the way I understood his plea bargaining agreement, for him to have his talk show, he had to sign a contract with the FBI. That's what I was told by people in the court. So it was like interesting. So some of these people, and I don't know what Pete's really doing. I haven't watched his show in about a year. I'll probably pick it up here in the next couple weeks. I'll have to, But we got people out there that are going out there in directions and putting information out there that's telling people how to live or giving people different ideas instead of walking them through to save their skin. I mean, this is the one thing. Everybody's out for a buck on somebody else's backside. And it's sad that we have actually become in such a boiling oil society. And I have to say it that way because I don't like the word society because that's a, village term technically. Until you wake up and everybody says, oh, the village needs to raise a kid. And then you start going, what? In other words, my neighbors get to spank my kid and they can tell them what to do. That's all Hillary Clinton and Clinton's, village. Take away your kids' right. Let somebody else raise them. So, and I do have to say the Ninth Circuit Court did clearly state January 25th, 2018, that you own your child and they have to have a warrant to take your child. And so I suggest to people on that they make sure they have that in recorded record. You want to make sure you get a copy of the court case. And if you're lucky and if you're able to get one certified, that'd be great because, we'd still like to get one certified, put up on the deal, up on the website. But that's the whole point. When we were able to start putting this stuff together and we got a central place because I know Southern has a link in Facebook and he's got a website and information he's got. We got a couple other men that have got the same thing, and putting it together, figuring out the stuff that you and I and what we know, instead of butting heads on certain things, we just talk about the stuff that we're not butting heads on. Life is simple. Men make it difficult for the terminology of words.
If I may.
Go ahead, man.
Now you said a warrant. Are you meaning a warrant that is signed by a judge, a lawyer, or a warrant that is done by a grand jury?
Warrant has to be done by a grand jury. And I've even got the videotape where they try to force Laura Weaver into taking a warrant, where they even bent down in front of her, told her, he bowed so straight and bowed when he did that to her. And if he didn't pick it up, he was going to arrest her for littering. I said, you can't arrest her for littering because paper's not littering. They expect people to be stupid, but, A warrant has to be signed by a grand jury, and I even got I got one of the administrative rules on that from the Supreme Court too. That even clearly states from the Superior Court that has to be written by a grand jury. Judges cannot write warrants.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
Under our military government, yes, they can.
Oh, well,
you're in the militia.
Yeah, but yeah.
You're in the militia, okay?
I'm not in the militia, but go ahead.
And he's a military judge, and you got sheriff is wearing 4 stars, so he's military too. I just sent you the paperwork on that. Yeah, they can do it. But I got something for them for that.
Yeah, I got you on that one. And so do I too.
That's why people don't get what's going on. They keep thinking that it's the court they think it is, but it's not. And once you realize it's a court it is, you can start writing up the right paperwork and asking the right questions that'll terrify these people.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me.
Well,
all you gotta do is ask the right questions.
Go ahead.
I said all you have to do is ask the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I agree with you there.
Hi, this is Ronald. May I share my information with you, the last speaker there, partner? My name, number?
Yeah, please do.
Call me after this call.
Does Ed have your number? Hello?
Sorry about that, Southern, but Ronald knows he is not allowed to be on the air because he has screwed up over and over again. Therefore, I dropped him from the call. If you're needing his number, Ed can give you his number.
What is the situation with this gentleman?
He overtook the show multiple times, and he advertised other sites without permission. He basically was considering it his own talk show. And he kept on overrunning people. He's one of the reasons why I'm getting so hard on this.
Well, I can understand that. I've sold 800 people out of legal deception.
Yes, I know. I've been on some of those shows a couple years back.
Yep, I've sold over 800 people out of there. I don't put up with any of that. We had a guy, I had a guy put out some paperwork. He was making a lot of money selling paperwork about 2 years ago. I found out recently he's sitting in jail for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
His paperwork didn't work so good. But, oh well.
Well, that's why everybody always puts, I put swallow me swear on it. And it's like, what are you, stupid? You know? I mean, you don't swear to nothing. Or what's the other one? Oh, I sign under perjury. What an idiot. In other words, you're saying that you have no rights. I mean, when people do that, it's like, it makes you wonder, but and I watch people do that. They'll do that. And sign on to put signature under perjury. And I do know what you're talking about there, Southern. Several people in the last couple of years ended up in jail by several other people. And some of these people that are still out, it makes you wonder what kind of plea bargain they made. Because there's some that... Go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen some paperwork from some of these people. I had a lady here in Broward County in a mortgage foreclosure, and this guy for $500 sold her the ultimate paperwork. I went over to her house, sat at her dining room table, read the paperwork. I got up and walked outside and had a smoke, came back in, read it a second time. I looked at her and said, "Are you crazy?" She said, "That's going to fix my mortgage foreclosure." I said, "I'll bet you a soda it doesn't." It didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. $500, I can do a hell of a lot better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't sell nothing. I'm never taking a penny from anybody.
Yeah, no. Well, the other point, I don't want their liability strings. You know, that's the one thing that, you always end up with strings of liability when you end up doing those things. And, I don't like being part of that structure. So, but yeah, we'll be getting some more of this stuff out. I got a couple hours of getting things tonight together myself. So this is going to be interesting. I'm working on what I'm doing. So, but at least I got responses going back to the Oregon State House and Senate on questions that I'm asking them now. This is interesting because at least Friday I got 2 more responses back. And like I said, the one is, why they're enhancing my rights to free travel and food. So I got another letter I'm putting out on that one because they already got the reimbursements of everything from my Social Security number through the state treasury. So it's like, putting this stuff together, sending it out to these people and asking them the right questions. So that's the whole point, is putting together and figuring out the right questions. And that's the other point. When somebody's got a question or something that worked for them, throw it out, see what happens. Because,
well,
go ahead.
That's how I got started. I'd be at work and think, oh, damn, I need to ask that question. Throw out the Freedom of Information Act. You'd be surprised at the information I've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you start asking the sheriff for information, all right, and they start sending you stuff, and you go, wow, damn, this is like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, no, I got you on that one. I got a couple I want to do the sheriff this week, too. So, I had my eyes open up a couple thoughts on that one. So, but it is interesting, the craziness that we're all going through this stuff. And it's like, we were supposed to do all this, but those damn lawyers are the ones that are responsible for all this. They had to do this to us so that way they could suck the blood out of this country. That's the one thing people don't comprehend, that one. They're literally sucking the blood out of this country from the inside out. They couldn't beat us. Even though that they were smarter and better military, but we were just crazier. So, there's a lot of things that we're dealing with. So, but yeah, I got quite a few that I'm going to be sending out this week, so we'll see what happens in developments in that. I got
if you need any help, let me know.
Huh?
If you need any help on them, let me know.
Well, I already told you we're going to be talking tomorrow.
Okay.
I comprehended that one that I got. That was nice. So I'm like, duh. And I'm thinking to myself, how simple is that one? How come I didn't... It's like, man, and the thing is I had something damn near similar to that. And it was like, damn, it's the things that you go through. So, and that's the point, as life is a learning experience. Depends on what street you learn from. That's part about life. So, but yeah, we're going to be getting this stuff out. I got some more that I'm going to be working on. I got to put together, like I said, another thing on for newborns, too. Setting that structure up, because like I said, I've been doing some more research into that. And it is interesting when you start reading some of this stuff with the state and the counties and Social Security. You could actually, you don't have to put your kid in the records at all if you don't want to. And that's the one thing that, today I wouldn't do it. Because
if you get in, okay, and you understand 8 USC 1401, okay? All children born in this country after 1940 and the Naturalization Act, all right, if you read that section right there, there's only 2 people that are citizens of the United States. Mm-hmm. One is the Indian tribes and Eskimos, and the other one is a foundling child under Section F.
Right.
And that only applies to that child till he turns 18.
That's right.
So what there's where a lot of people don't understand. Well, I'm a citizen of the United States. I was at a Publix a while back, and ICE and Immigration and Customs Enforcement was going around this area asking people whether they're United States citizens. Well, they made a big mistake and came up to me. And I looked at them and I said, do you have anything that says you're a United States citizen? Well, I was born here. I said, that don't mean shit under the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1790. You could be born here all you want, but if you didn't go down and immigrate through the immigration process, you weren't a United States citizen. I schooled them guys for 30 minutes. They just stood there and looked at me like, what? One guy even pulled it up on his phone, and he goes, holy shit. I took him into 8 USC 1401. I said, you're either a foundling child or you're Indian. That's it. Mm-hmm. This goes all the way. This goes back, all right, to Dred Scott versus Sanford. Nobody ever really read that thing, but if you get out there on the Constitution annotated site of Congress, all right, and pull up the immigration laws and read that very carefully, it tells you the only person that they have authority to make a citizen is somebody from a foreign country. Mm-hmm. They have no authority to make you and me a citizen of the United States.
That's right.
All right, and these people don't understand that.
No, I know that, and that's what I tell them. I'm native. I don't use any other words.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. Executive Order, what Executive Order 2040 is part of 1404. And I agree with you. Most people don't read it; they don't catch it. I was just passing that around because what does it says? Natural and citizens are enemies to the country under the Trading with the Enemy Act. And then, how come people can't see what they read?
Don't ask me, Ed. I've been trying to do this stuff for 20-something years.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment to that one. I relate to that one. I've been doing it, but I never went public like I'm doing now. But after what I've gone through the last the last 16 years with this county, they covered the kid that broke my neck. They covered his ass, put me in the system, screwed me around, played their political game. And then everybody says, Ed, move away from there. And I said, why? And every time they get up, they know I'm still here.
Man, you should have been around when I first started legal deception and started the calls. Every time we tried to do a call, the thing crashed on me. Mm-hmm. I tried to do the money call, my money document call, like 3 times before we got it right.
Right.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I do plan on doing one of those calls going through that whole structure. I want to do money mechanics one night. I think that would be a good one.
If you're going to do money mechanics, you need to understand the Emergency Bank Relief Act of 1933, Section 4.
That's right.
And you need to read the Securities Act of 1933 and the Securities Exchange Act of 1934.
That's right. I know. I've read them.
People don't understand what that signature on that little piece of paper means.
Do you know it off the top of your head? I know you do.
What's that?
What's the signature mean?
It means you just created an instrument of money.
Mm-hmm.
The United States government can't create money. They can only regulate the value of it, all right?
That's right.
And coin it.
That's right.
Like I told you, if you want to have an interesting FOIA request, send a FOIA about awful money to the Treasury Department.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that one. I already told you that was the one I want to do this week, too. because I figured that seeing I'm going down this hole, I've already started the structure on this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. I mean, I'm going to be asking the state too, because the state had turned out to have what was it, $4.9 billion in reserves that they're trying to hide from the taxpayers right now in the state of Oregon. They have $4.9 billion in reserves that they got to figure out how to spend before the people figure out that that's supposed to go back to them personally.
Well, let me tell you something. If you get in, if you want to really blow their minds, contract the comptroller of the currency or your state legislators and ask them to list all the trust accounts currently being held by the state.
Oh, no, we're on the same path. That was one of the things that one of the requests I want to do on the 4-page. You know, that's what we were talking about that I want to talk to you further on, because that's what I was writing up this morning. Because I figured I'm opening it up, might as well do it. I still got to respond back to that military guy. He said if I had any further questions to ask him, so I plan on asking him a few more questions. So, yeah, no, it's starting to, I figure might as well start having a little fun here, because I know once I start getting a lot of these questions going to the House and Senate, and these people, they're going to go, what? Well, they wanted to open up the door. No, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Just roll over?
I'm telling you, man, like I said, you start asking questions to these people, you're going to find out more information in 6 months than you earned in your lifetime.
I'm looking forward to it.
I've got a status declaratory judgment. I got a status Freedom of Information Act. I let them to tell me who I am. And they don't like that one. Especially when the part of it is I demand civil due process.
Right.
Remember I showed you that little 99 court case?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's two courts running in this country.
Well, yeah, we'll get some of these court cases up for people to read, too.
Well, I don't have any court cases, but I got all the declaratory judgments for them.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And, you know, if you want to make some of those public, we don't have a problem putting them up.
Well, I sent them to you. I'm sending you stuff all the time.
All right, well, I didn't know I had the authority to go ahead and start putting them up.
Be my guest. Maybe we can get some of these people to start putting this stuff in these court cases besides me.
Yeah, I'll get you on that one. And we got a couple other gentlemen.
They better learn to duck because these judges don't like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, I just find it interesting that, you know, in my situation, I got two new cops moving in with a throwing field from me. Boy, I know they like to keep an eye on me. You know? But, I mean, you got to look at the positive of it. I just look at it, that's my protection force. They have to do that. It's like, well, I used to always like it when Secret Service used to follow me around. And people say, well, why would you like that, Ed? And I said, well, you got some crazy, stupid son of a gun that comes in and shoots up people. He's really not going to shoot the people in the hallway. He's going after the people that are in the system. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, at least that way, you know, if somebody does fall, at least I know I got an arm there. At least I can protect myself. You know, I mean, it's looking at life the way it is. Of course, that was the way I was brought up, too. Look at situations. How are you going to survive? And that's what we're doing today. Go ahead.
Have you heard any more from the Social Security people?
Oh, yeah, I said that yesterday and today. Yeah, I spent 6 hours yesterday Friday on the phone with them. So I think I got it straightened out now. But I won't find out for a few days. And then, I got to still figure out how I'm going to come up with, paying if I don't do something here quick. I got to worry about paying the water, electricity, and, food is, getting the way it is. So.
Yeah, I know, buddy.
It's just the way it is, So, and I know that this is another point, I know that, the pressure and the things I've really opened up going back for years. But I figured, what am I supposed to do? Just roll over? No. So they want to open up this bargain and come after me on that instead of, that's the other thing. I question them too. How are you guys charging me on a manufactured home when Oregon State Administrative Rule says you do not register them, you can't pay taxes on them, and they're private property? They can't be taxed by Oregon State Administrative Rule. Nobody wants to answer that question.
I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
I said, I hear you. These people, they can just do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's interesting. So I'm going to send a couple of these letters this week in rebuttal. And my other point, too, is I got to find a electronic administrative rule that says when you send them something, that it's basically recorded, certified to them. So, and I know there's something like that out there, so I'm working to find that.
I believe it's in the hell. I know that there is a law that once it's placed in the hands of the mail carrier, it's considered delivered.
Well, I'm talking, yeah, but electronically it's still the same way. That's the way I'm looking for the electronic one. I know the one on the paper mail, but I'm looking for the electronic one. So that way when you're emailing to your senator, your House of Representative, or your public servant, I know if you could prove that the email went there and came back to you, then that's a recorded record. And I know there's something on that, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Clinton was the one who put that through with the electronic signature. So, but I mean, I know that once electronic signature is done and passed, but I know that there was another one you could send an email and it was the same thing with the electronic signature. It was considered it was filed. So,
well, once you send, let me tell you about emails. It is a felony, a crime, supposedly, for them to erase an email to themselves.
Oh yeah.
They're never supposed to get rid of that email. All right.
Well, we know that Hillary's living that one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I still can't believe how the Clintons have got away. Some of these people got away with so much stuff over the years. It's like, how many people did they buy off?
May I?
Well.
Oh, well, go ahead. We got a may I. Go ahead, may I?
Yeah, I just heard on the news earlier today that not only did Hillary have her own private email, but it turns out Comey did too.
I guess sweeter and sweeter all the time, don't it?
Yes, it does.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. And that's the other point, too. When you do file or you send your emails, don't forget to put in the 1938 Foreign Agent Registration Act. Don't forget to put that that I put in everything I do. It's always ask you, are they registered? Are they legally allowed to be in commerce under the 1938 Foreign Agent Registration Act? And I've already had a couple say, well, that doesn't mean shit. And I was talking to a public servant, like I said, when I was on the phone. That was the last week I've been on the phone with a lot of them. And I was talking to one about it. She goes, well, that doesn't mean shit. That doesn't mean anything, Ed. You can't go by that. And I said, well, isn't that what Comey just got convicted of? And she was dead silent on the phone. And I said, don't worry. I'm filing on everyone in the building. And she's like, you're doing what? And I said, oh, yeah, that's right. I already did. And I said, I slipped out and I said, it's already been filed. All this stuff has been filed under identity theft, what you guys have done. And she's like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean, what do I mean? You know what it means when it's been filed. So I'm going after the departments here, what they've gone after, taking my money, screwed me out. I'm filing on these people as well. So, and they're, you know, we'll see what happens, who listens, who doesn't, you know, because we're all dealing with that in the system itself too. But, you know, I'm just waiting to see. There's got to be some change on this. You know, because we're filing on the front and the back side of them, so we're getting them on both sides. So, in a sense, you can look at us bitch slapping them, and that's the way I'm looking at it, man. I'm going to get them one way or the other, and then I got a letter that I'm going to be sending to the comp controller too for the state of Oregon on this. Couple questions I have to ask on property taxes going back to the Treaty of 1846 of the state of Oregon with the British government and the natives and the people of Oregon at the time. And that treaty says that there shall be no property taxes ever in that Treaty of 1846. And I do have that. And I got that from the state of Oregon records. So that's the one thing about getting the information. Some things I learned, I realize more now than I did before, and that's one thing to bring to your guys' knowledge so you don't do the same mistake as I've done. A lot of things I paid for the receipts, got receipts when I went to, records and even the Oregon State House of Records, going in Congressional Library of Records of the state of Oregon. And instead of getting things certified when I left the building, and that way it said, ding, this meant this, I always just got the receipt. And so if you do have the resources, try to spend the other $3 or whatever they want to certify it, because a wise man keeps telling me, get it certified, because then that way, what are they going to do, argue with their own words?
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. When you know that, you say that too.
Yep.
So that's the thing that getting this stuff out, so we're starting putting these pieces together. So we're starting to figure out this. Like I said, I got an interesting battle coming up. Who knows what's going to happen? I have some idea. I've known lots of people, that were involved. I mean, the last guy I know, he didn't pay property taxes in Lincoln County for 37 years, and he just died 2 years ago. So I don't know. I mean, I see his property up for sale now. But, I mean, I know for 47 years he didn't pay taxes. I got introduced to him through Senator Gary George when we were battling that on property taxes. When they were trying to steal his property, the Corps of Army Engineers were trying to steal his property with the county, and they couldn't do it. He had a landlocked deed that went back to 1840 on that place. So they couldn't handle it. So it's, and I've watched several people go through this, but, you got to realize sometimes with nerves and everything else, it's sort of interesting. I never expected to be in this position like this. But, of course, I expected to have some of this stuff already publicized and paid for a couple years ago before I had my assets stolen and everything else going after me. So, I mean, I comprehend why they went after me. So, but we just got to stand our ground. So, and that's the one thing when people say, well, we need to change the stand our ground rule. They don't even know what the hell that means. We got a lot of people. Well, the other part I read yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, Parkland Sheriff comes out and states that they had no legal obligation to stop the Parkland shooting.
That's right.
And go ahead.
If you want, I'll send you the document that his attorney wrote up. I've got it.
Oh, okay, that'd be nice. I'd like to put that up because, see, I do know the actual law when the Supreme Court stated that the police had no obligation to protect any man, woman, or child. And I post that up all over the place because they're a corporation member and they're a tax collector for the city and county only. And they're not supposed to have contact with the people, technically. And that's where people don't realize, and they want to go, we need to call the cops. It's like, how come you're not an adult? How come you're not handling it? How come the neighbors ain't standing up with the other neighbors, taking care of the problem and being adults?
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Are you familiar with the Deerfield Doctrine?
The Clearfield? Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. You can speak up on it if you want. Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's all I had to say because I'm trying to get myself together.
Okay, no problem. So, but yeah, no, this is the one thing. But see, the one thing about putting all these things together, and we're standing up, we're putting the education, we're sitting there figuring this out. We're watching all these people spinning their wheels. I mean, I've been watching people spinning their wheels and all these people selling all these products. And I mean, it's like I went through this one lady's deed that she was doing on a property she was selling. And she's getting the form she got from the real estate agent. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you going through a real estate agent? But anyhow, you guys doing what they're doing. And then when I read the forms that they had, the real estate agent form stated that I shall do what the city, county, state administration tells me to do with and on my property.
Okay.
And I went, what? I mean, I never signed anything like that or autographed anything like that. But this is what they're doing new, bringing out new on property today. Go ahead, Southern.
If you don't have a mortgage on that property, right?
Nope.
Okay, let me explain something about a mortgage. You got to go back to the beginning. I went back to about 1600. A mortgage is a transfer of title.
Right.
All right, to the mortgage holder. The mortgage holder technically is responsible for everything on that property until it is paid off.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize that. He's responsible for the upkeep. He's responsible for the taxes. He's responsible for everything. So, that's it.
Yeah, but see, I mean, there hasn't been a mortgage on this place for several owners. It's all been bought between one owner, one private man or a woman, between one private man or woman. So, I mean, this one's already been out of that point. That's why I bought it. So, I mean, I'm just going by what to my comprehension is, so. But no, I never got into mortgage, never got into credit cards, never bought new cars, never went out and got credit cards. I knew a long time ago if I didn't have the money, I didn't have the money. And if I start doing credit cards like a lot of people, and I watch people, going down the wrong roads, I figured if I don't have it, hey, I could always go out fishing and hunting, and I could always get food, and that's what I did for a lot of years. a lot of years. And it's driving me nuts right now. I haven't had a chance to get back out, and that's what I'm forcing my issue now with them right now, because I want to get back out hunting and fishing. I mean, these guys have tortured me enough over the years. And, you know, I'm just done with it all.
Yeah, I hear that one.
Huh? What did you say?
I said, I hear that one.
Well, and see, I was just informed that apparently, there's supposed to be, I guess there's some type of investigations going through the budgets of the city of my town now. I was informed that by another neighbor. And it was like, wonder how that could have happened. So I hope it goes all the way back to 1999. Because if they actually go back that far, man, it's going to open up whose brother, whose sister, and where the money went from where, and who, what, why, and how. And I've seen some of that myself. So we'll see what happens. I've heard tales of that before.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I said, I hear you.
Well, 2004, they had me in the newspapers, you know, with City of Toledo, the FBI, and Ed Johnston questioning the City of Toledo. So, I mean, this stuff has already been there. I mean, you know, and I'm still fighting this stuff, and it's like, you know, how long is this fight supposed to be? Where is the turning point that I've already proven all this stuff? When is it supposed to happen? So, and that's what I'm doing now is what I'm filing. I mean, when I filed that paperwork on Linda, asking what oath of office she took, the commercial or her oath. You know, I wanted to know what the circumstances of her employment was. I still haven't got a response from that, and that's a binding contract. I mean, it went to the House and Senate. It's recorded. It's recorded in 3 newspapers already. So it's like, so what's going on, folks? I mean, I spread that letter out all over the place. Because when I got that one and they were like trying to make a move, it's like, I want people to know property taxes are voluntary. Even got the law of Oregon State even says it. You know, that's what Huh?
I just sent you the Scott Peterson motion to dismiss.
Okay. So, yeah,
Be sitting down,
go ahead.
That's a funny read, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll be getting into this stuff tonight, too. So far, I've got about 5 hours of reading, but I'm only going to get probably 2 hours, and then I'll get the rest of it going in the morning, because I got to get up and get things written in the morning, too. Because I want to get these things emailed out and get this stuff done, so... I mean, it's interesting. I'm fighting this battle. We got other men and women fighting different other battles. We've got some men and women that are finally not fighting the battle where, you know, the system is just backing away and, you know, basically letting bygones be bygones. So, okay. I mean, you know, it's easier that way, you know. But I have a funny feeling it's going to be interesting to try to do that with Kate Brown. You know, I did write 3 harsh 30-page instruments about her and filed it with the Department of Justice and everybody. You know, treason, what she's done. I mean, as a lawyer and stuff, it's her administrative rules that she put in. Oh, we can't forget in 2000, the state of Oregon stated that our land in the state of Oregon belongs to the Democratic Party of the lawyers. 2000, they said that there was a Constitution vote changing the Constitution of Oregon that the lawyers own all the land in the state of Oregon. And I'll be getting that one up, and we ought to be getting that one. We'll be running that next weekend on the show. So we'll run that on the TV screen for YouTube so people can actually see that. And then I want to get some of those other things of the 1846 treaty and that, so we can run that up on that. So, I mean, then that way people could actually read what we're talking about. They could see it. And I do thank the producer who does that. He does a hell of a job on that, and we do appreciate that, because when he does that, it helps the others that are watching the videos to correlate things, too, when we're talking about things instead of being lost. So, but anyhow, I've got quite a bit of work and writing ahead of me. So that's where I'm looking at. I'm thinking about, but might as well call it an evening. Then tomorrow, like I said, I'll be getting some of this other information out. I'll give other emails out. I'll try to email out to basically everybody, or at least on Facebook or something. Because when I get this stuff starting to be going out and filing, it's going to be interesting, because I still got to respond back to Gumberg on that, and then I'm going to have to respond to him, which I'm going to be writing him the letter and sending that to the Secretary of State, the Treasury, and the tax collector all in one. So, I mean, if I'm getting this where all of a sudden I've got all the public employees moving around me, it's like, is it a good thing or a bad thing? I have to say a good thing. I might try to look at the positive than the negative. So, but I do want to be able to get to the point where I can start traveling here again and stuff. And that's one thing about insurance and that. We know man and woman is personal liable with your traveling if you do get in, an accident or something. But that's the one thing that pissed me off, that there was uninsured motorist insurance that the state of Oregon was paying for. Everybody who bought a vehicle license registration paid uninsured motorist fund in the registration fees, and that all the way went back to the 1940s. So it already covered insurance. And I have that actually on 2013, where I got Senator Arnie Roblin on YouTube. Hey, we spent the money. And
do you know?
Go ahead.
Do you know how no-fault insurance came about?
Go ahead.
All right. No-fault insurance started in the state of Florida. A gentleman, a smart little gentleman back, 60s or 70s, got hit from the rear end. Well, he turned around and he sued the state of Florida, because state of Florida licensed the car. All right, they licensed the person to be on the highway. All right. So he took him to court. He won his court case. All right. So they indemnified themselves by forcing you to get no-fault insurance, making them no-fault in the contract.
Yep. No, that's
people don't know that.
And not only that, that case was that was a very wealthy man who got rear-ended.
Yeah, he was.
He knew what he was doing.
$25 million.
Well, see, it's like the other point that gets to me with auto insurance and all that. Well, the state tells you and you're licensing your vehicle, I'm going to use the terminology, and so isn't the state liable for your tire, your oil change, your water change, your water pumps, your maintenance on your vehicle, because the state owns it? Aren't they the ones that are supposed to be liable for all the upkeep of that, because they're technically the owner, not you? Isn't it interesting how they passed that off to us, and they got us believing? And I was working on something like that with the Senate back in 2001, and we never got totally finished that. But I always thought about that since then, too, because it was brought up, because like with state government employees, you know, I mean, I've been around enough where they have the credit card for anything, you know. And yeah, they have to justify services, but it's like I've been around and watched a lot of this stuff, and you look at it, and if they're supposed to be the owner of it, aren't they supposed to take the upkeep of it? So how come we're paying for the upkeep of our own vehicles?
Called usufruct.
Huh?
It's called usufruct.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things that, you know, when you look at this, and I still want to eventually probably try to get back to that, because I was doing some research into that, and I came across an instrument, and hopefully I still got it, where actually the state is supposed to pay the upkeep for your vehicle so long as that you register it with the state and the Department of Treasury, and they have to maintain it. And I got to see if I can find that. Because, see, that's one of the things when my house got, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on something that I, don't have, but it was just like I did have it at one point. I got to go through papers. But there are things like that that are out there with that, and that's the one thing that we are not supposed to pay. When you register your vehicle, it's already user fees is already paid into that registration. That's the one thing that gets to me, and we do have the evidence on that. So it's getting this stuff so we can start filing, and so I'm going to be getting some more instruments filed this week too on similar things like that. And then I'll get what I've filed out for anybody else who would like to use them or see them or anything else, and we'll go from there. And so anyhow, I'm going to go call it a night. I would like to thank everybody for joining us this evening, walking through some of these things, bringing the conversation forward. The one thing is us look at how we're going to be educating ourselves this week, what we're going to bring to the table next week. May the Great Spirit, Mother Earth, feed you, take care of you, and the Creator bless you.
All participants are muted.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Might want to stick around for the after show, but it is currently Father's Day. It's a Sunday, June 17th, 2018. Ed has actually hit 71 on the you-knows, so he's 2 away from his top you-knows.
Record of 73.
I might have missed a few, so I'm just being nice to him right now. But
whatever.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, but my wife was video calling her mom and dad, so effectively internet got a little bit buggy on my side, so the little bit of lag on the YouTube show was a little bit off. It was on my side, my fault. And we do thank you for being honorable. All the callers that have called in and those who have been on.
We're getting through it.
And I am not going to apologize for becoming a hard ass, because
nobody needs to apologize.
If we wanted a Jerry Springer show, I would just start it up and go play video games. I'd rather have this an educational show that gives real information and not fantasy, dreams, I want, or any of the millennial snowflake bullshit. So, in the end, thank you very much, and we'll see you next weekend. Unless North Korea decides to bomb us, then we won't see you ever again. So
South Korea ain't gonna bomb us.
I know. All right, so good night, everybody, and have a good week. And do your research. Always research. Never take anything on faith.